Dogs and Sports Chat Place YouTube channel. And I say picks, we've got a lot of cappers on our show today, and we'll be looking at some of the games. And, of course, games tonight to cover that big Game 5 between the Yankees and Rays, as I see them now in batting practice right now. Also, we have Game 5 in the Lakers and Heat. We'll see if the Heat can extend, or more importantly, who's going to cover this one. We got Louisville, Georgia Tech college football, and we'll have a lot more football picks to go with. Let's take a look here at the Pig Dogs in the green room. We got Joe D'Amico will co-host with me today. Hello, Joe. We got Brian Bittler.
Hey, Tony.
Goran, we've got a lot of soccer. I loaded his plate today with soccer, so he'll be working hard today. And, of course, we got Joe Duffy and, of course, Jeff Jeter are gonna come in with some little NASCAR people and some college football. We got some SEC from Jeff Jeter today on the show, but we're going to go ahead and bring in my co-host, Joe D'Amico. Joe, how are things going out there in Las Vegas? If I can find the right buttons to push, which I did. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking, Tony. Vegas is great. We're getting 87 degrees. There's a little breeze out. But Game 5s, we've got 2 of them going off tonight. We got a full slate of college football as far as a full slate goes for what we've been through this college football season. Got a great NFL slate coming up. But this is a great time of year here in Vegas. And obviously, when you've got Game 5s, it's great for the sports. It's great for the fans. But it's really great for people like us that are in sports betting, because this is what we live for. This is what crunch time is, and it's just a really exciting time of the sports year. You know, we've got some of the in college football. We've got some of the conferences that are going to be starting up in about a week or so. We've got college basketball will be starting in November. So this is just a great time. We're going to have a lot of college football, and it's just an exciting time of year, Tony.
Absolutely exciting time of the year. Of course, we talked about this Dodger game. Boy, those bats came alive in those middle innings as they pounded the Padres, eliminated them. No more of that bat flipping nonsense. I don't know what you think about that, but it's a little irritating after a while watching what those Padres and the bat flips. But the Yankees, they stave off elimination, Joe.
Well, we talked about this and about a trend that I saw in Major League Baseball on the show the other day, where pitchers and teams with more postseason experience are coming out on top, and it has run true in all of these divisional contests so far. I still think, I'm not going to give it away what I think tonight about the Yankees and the Rays, but the 3 teams with more postseason experience and the pitchers that have more postseason experience have come true. We talked, you and I, Tony, on the show about San Diego. Great team, very exciting. In about a year or so, they will be a team, as long as they don't, go crazy and they lose a lot of players to free agency. They're going to be a team to beat, not just in the division, but in the entire National League. We thought they were a little immature this year. The Dodgers have the maturity. They've been to this postseason quite a few times. Unfortunately for the Dodgers and Dodger fans, always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Last 2 World Series, they got ousted by American League bats, and it's a great time in baseball right now. And I think it's going to be a great Game 5 tonight between the Yankees and the Rays.
Yeah, it should be. Of course, we did see Thursday Night Football with the Bears eking out a victory against Tampa Bay. Brady, I don't know about that roughing the passer call to extend it to that late drive for the Bears, but they're still not sold on Nick Foles at quarterback in Chicago.
They haven't had a good quarterback in Chicago since, even Jim McMahon. They've had more quarterbacks come and go than my ex-girlfriend had men come and go in her life. It's just ridiculous. It's ugly. And I'll be honest with you. I know their record is a successful and one of the best in the league, but they are the worst one-loss teams in the NFL. As soon as they run into a couple of good teams, which is going to start happening with their schedule, you're going to see them taking a dunk. I'm going to tell you right now. We could talk about the call. We could talk about the overturned call, the challenge call that was overturned in last night's game too. But it's all in the past. I can tell you this. I run into any one of those Bears, I'm going to be fighting. They're going to lock me up. I had Tampa Bay last night, and I turned the game off when it was 13-0. Next thing I know, it's the 4th quarter, and I wound up on the wrong side of the game, and I almost broke my television. But that's how it goes. And fortunately for people like me and you and the other panelists on the show, we have a lot less losses than wins. But those losses like that really do sting.
Yeah, they definitely do sting. All right, here on the drive-thru, guys, we have a lot to cover. College football, we're going to cover the big games today. Heat and Lakers, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Tampa Bay Rays, and Yankees. But let's get it started. Let's bring in Joe Duffy. There, you'll find him over at Pig Dog Stream. And Joe, how you doing today? And, of course, another day today, but a lot of good action today on a Friday.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of good action. I know the one game was moved up to play yesterday because of Hurricane Delta and whatnot, but there's always some great action, and it's not always about the high-profile stuff. I know we got some high-profile stuff coming on. I wish that all the small conferences were playing right now. Hopefully they will in basketball, but anyone who's been a customer of mine for the last 33 years knows that it's not always those big high-profile games that we can make money from. A lot of lower profile games, even the games that I got to watch on ESPN Plus or ESPN3, whatever they're calling it now, sometimes are the best bets.
Yeah, they certainly are. Some of those lower profile games. I wish they, of course, went on these bigger cards. We could find them, but now they're kind of standing out. The people are putting. You got to see what they're putting on ESPN2 tomorrow. I think we're getting UTEP on ESPN2 tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, and I think the University of Roswell, Georgia, is ranked 25th with a bunch of these conferences not playing. So it's definitely been a crazy year. Look, for many, many, many reasons, including from a business standpoint, I will be as giddy as Joey D is once we can get everything back to normal. We don't have to worry about COVID postponements. The week before Labor Day, we're going to see college football, and the week after Labor Day, we're going to see NFL. I cannot wait till that happens again.
I'm with you there. All right, Joe, let's see. We got something to look in here. You're going to start bright and early, 12 Eastern time for us here, NC State and Virginia. Current lines, we're seeing Virginia between 7 and 7.5, total 58.5 in this one. NC State coming off that win against Pitt. Of course, Virginia here back to action. How do you see it?
Well, this year, obviously, with everything so screwed up, you're going to see some situations that you will rarely, if ever, see. This is the third of 4 straight road games for Virginia, and of course, there aren't any bye weeks or any scheduled bye weeks. They're off of a big upset at Pitt, and they do play at Clemson next week. Now, it might be a little bit of surprise. Look, I've written articles and whatnot. The look ahead is kind of a myth in college football, but the fact they're coming off of that big upset at Pitt, the letdown isn't really a myth, and it's a true sandwich game. Home favorites versus an opponent off of a conference win as large underdogs, and I think they were 14-point underdogs in that game. They're 122, 63-2 as a go against. You want to go with the home favorite and fade the team off of the win as a favorite, as a large underdog. Virginia's numbers on defense are a little bit better than the mere points for and points against. Points for and points against can be deceptive. It's a good statistic, but Virginia's problem has been they're turning the ball over way too much. But that's more correctable, and I also think it involves a little bit of good or bad fortune, depending on whether you have a good turnover ratio or bad turnover ratio. So turnovers are the ones that I think are easier to turn around than you're not getting yardage or you're giving up too much yardage. They're only allowing 2.8 yards to teams normally getting 3.7 yards per rush and 5.5 yards per play to teams that are normally getting 5.8. So that would suggest their defense is slightly above average. One of my simulators has Virginia covering 58% of the time. The other one has it covering 61.2% of the time. So with that, and like I say, I think it's a little bit of a sandwich game for NC State. I do like Virginia laying the big lumber.
All right, we've got Joe Duffy here saying go ahead and take Virginia, laying the lumber here against NC State. Joe, we're seeing some fans in some of these stadiums. You see them having any impact whatsoever in these games?
I don't really think so. I think that the players are going to have to self-motivate. And, if 3,000 fans are allowed or nobody's allowed, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. And, of course, you got the artificial noise in the NFL. But, no, I think you're really, really going to be stretching to find any type of home field advantage and any big advantage for a team that's allowed to have 10% capacity as opposed to a team that's got to play in front of an empty stadium. But still, there's not, it's one of the most famous lines from my favorite movie of all time. Don't make fun of me, Joey D, but there is no place like home. And I think that's true. There's always a home field advantage, even if there's not a home fan advantage, but clearly it's less than normal.
Now, it's interesting to know that some of these teams are playing their 4th, 5th game, and then, of course, we're looking at some teams piling up some losses, and usually we're kind of figuring, okay, how can this team get the 6 wins, become bowl eligible? Right now, it's the great unknown, right? So how are we going to look at some of these teams that are below 500 or maybe even hopeless of getting a 500 record?
Yeah, and whether or not all the bowls will be played this year, that is another story. I don't think, as far as the I don't think anybody's out thinking themselves this early in the year. Once we get to the final week or two, maybe, but I don't think that's any factor right now. It's been such a mess, and no team can start thinking about whether or not they have a chance to play in the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl or what have you, because, again, how many bowls are going to be played this year? With the certain, the Big Ten only playing the 6 games or the 8 games and whatnot. It's going to be a total mess. So right now, not a factor as far as that's concerned, I don't think.
Yeah, not a factor. I'm always concerned about those losing teams, how much motivation they have here as we get down, of course, with all the hassle with the COVID.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a factor. I think losing teams are always playing for pride, and the truth is losing teams are undervalued. As a general rule of thumb, a lot of my systems say go with the cold and bad teams. Why? For the obvious reason. The public hates betting on them. The public would much rather bet favorites. They much rather bet good teams. They much rather bet hot teams. Now, it's true that in college football, momentum is much more important than in the NFL, where, regression to the mean is the case. But now I think these guys, they're playing the shorter seasons. I think, if it were a full season where they're getting physically and mentally beat up, it could be a factor. But I do think that teams are going to rally around. I think that the more tangible things, such as the losing players to COVID, that would be a factor. But I don't think teams are going to get all that disheartened after a couple losses.
All right, joined here with Joe Duffy. Joe D'Amico, of course, helping me co-host the show today. Joe, as we approach the bottom of the hour, we're hitting football weekend. I know you got a lot going on over at Pig Dogs Premium.
Yes, in fact, I wanted to make sure I had my plays uploaded. I get 2 Wise Guy plays and 3 majors for tomorrow, and hopefully, I haven't completed my NFL. Hopefully by tonight, I'll have the NFL up as well. Look, I'm not going to. It's 2020. I'm not going to tell you that I'm sizzling hot, that this has been a recent good run for me. But look, I've had some slumps in my 33 plus years of my picks being public. The reason that I'm still here, still doing the same living that I was back in 1988 is because my winning streaks have always outnumbered the losing streaks. While it seems everything's out the window here in 2020, there's no question that before the year's out, we're going to have a winning streak that's going to outlast and outnumber, the temporary losing streak that we're in.
I agree with you 100%. Joe Duffy's been in this industry a long time. He knows this stuff. And Joe, is always great having you on the show. Have a great weekend, a great winning weekend. We will talk to you next week.
All right, gentlemen, we shall do that.
All right, our buddy. Be good. It was our buddy Joe Duffy here on the drive-through. All right, guys, still a lot more coming. We got picks coming from the Yankees-Rays Game 3, Georgia Tech, Louisville, the NBA game, the Heat, and the Lakers. But now we'll talk to Joe here about this Game 3, about this Game 5. I'm saying Game 3. Game 5 between the Yankees and Rays. We're not in the best of 3 anymore. We're the best of 5. Coal and glass now. We've seen this lumber go up now. We're seeing $1.60s in some places here. Total sits here at 7.5, Joe. Of course, the Yankees with those bats, they can carry them a long way. We've seen closeout games. The total's low, but we've seen some closeout games where a team really gets out on another team, and they don't take a foot off the gas, especially in a closeout, because it's a win or go home.
Oh, absolutely. And, you got 2 of the best competitors in all of baseball, and they have played each other quite a few times in this odd regular season. Tampa Bay's gotten the better of New York in the regular season, but this is the postseason when everything in the regular season goes out the window, and both teams did throw their best starters on the mound. They faced each other before these starters. These teams know each other well. Right now, I'll tell you what it comes down to: who wants it more? Funny thing that I did read as far as today was quite a few people getting down on Cashman and the entire staff of the Yankees for their Game 2 selection of their pitchers. And, it's funny, but the Game 2 there's a couple games, it's in the past. Let's go on to Game 5. Let's see who wins this. But I will tell you this, these 2 teams know each other well. You've got 2 very, very good lineups, 2 very good pitchers. It just comes down to really who wants it more. There's no luck in a series like this. There's no luck in baseball like this. Listen, this comes down to who wants it more. Is it the Bombers of the Bronx, or is it the new kids on the block in the AL East, the Tampa Bay Rays? I have this game up on the Pick Dogs website. I can't give too much away, but I think this is going to be a very, very interesting Game 5, Tony.
Absolutely. I'm agree with you 100%. Really interesting game here between both teams. Of course, Joe, I'm kind of thinking here the way the Yankees bats are. I think a team can run away with this one. I kind of lean here toward over the 7.5 in this one because we've seen the Yanks go over in all but one playoff game in the Rays, 4 of their past 5, and both the pitching lineups have given up some runs. All right, continuing here on the drive-thru. Now it's time for Joe's show pick. We're looking to look at Clemson and Miami. It's the big one, and of course. Looking at the line right now, we've got Clemson laying about 14.5, total of 60 in this one. Derek King now the quarterback for Miami and getting a little more comfortable under center, but now Clemson faces their biggest test of the year.
Yeah, Tony, I wanted to give our listeners and our viewers a marquee matchup here that I do feel strongly about. Sports fans, there is no question that Miami's stock is on the rise. Offensive coordinator Rhett Lashley and Houston transferred quarterback Derek King. They have the offense rolling and the team 3-0. But guys, if you like me and you like a butt, and I like a really big butt, to be quite honest with you, if you combine UAB, Louisville, and Florida State, Miami, Florida's 3 2020 opponents, you still wouldn't have a team near the talent level to compete with Clemson. No doubt you're going to see some money here. Now that the line went to 14.5, you're going to see some Hurricanes money come in here because of 2 reasons. Number one, they are this season's it team so far, and because they are 3-0 against the spread so far this campaign. The Tigers, guys, they have yet to get the bettors paid. They're 0-3 against the number. However, this is Clemson's first true test of the campaign. Head coach Dabo Swinney, we all know he loves to beat up on conference opponents, particularly guys in Death Valley. As a matter of fact, prior to last week's win and no cover against Virginia, this team had a string of 7 consecutive covers for its conference opponents at Memorial Stadium. The very tough Tigers stop unit are going to flex their muscles here, guys. They're going to show the ACC just who's boss. And I'm going to give you one more note. All this while Lawrence will snuff out any question that Derek King belongs in the Heisman talk with him. He's going to make a statement here. The Hurricanes 1-5 the last 6 meetings in the series, 3-12 the last 15 in the month of October. Moreover, the Tigers 17-5 the last 22 versus conference opponents, and 5-2 the last 7 at home. Guys, Clemson crushes the cane here. Get your money on Clemson. Listen, if it's around, there are some 14s around. Try to get that 14. If not, just to err on the side of caution, I'd buy it down for the extra few pennies. But I will tell you this. Clemson makes the statement here. It's their first true test. The first 3 games were 3 nobodies. They took their starters out come the second half. In this one, they keep their starters in. They put their foot on the gas, and they tell the rest of this conference, hey, we're still number 1 here. Take Clemson here, guys.
All right, Joe DeMille coming in strong here with Clemson laying the points against Miami. Of course, a big test here from Miami in this one, but of course, Clemson, the team that has been strong. We saw Derek King struggle when he was with Houston in his big game against Oklahoma, so we may see something similar here. The light might be a little too bright. We'll see how that goes. All right, Joe, we see over at Pig Dogs Premium, it's a big weekend of football. What do you got going on over at Pig Dogs?
Tony, I'm glad you asked that. First of all, right now, tonight, I have the Yankees-Rays Game 5 winner. I am rolling in the baseball playoffs. Won my last 3 in a row, big time. I'm going to win tonight. I also have my strongest weekend football card in years. Guys, college football Saturday. I have my single strongest play I've released so far this season. My ACC game of the month. I am 100% in conference games of the month so far this college football season, but this is my strongest play yet this year. ACC game of the month. I also have my 16-1 Las Vegas Strip move, my legendary 17-2 Sky's the Limit. I have the Red River Rivalry winner. Say that 5 times quick. My 23-4 odds makers mistake. That's right. I have uncovered a mistake made by the odds makers, and together, you follow me, we're going to make them pay. I have my Conference USA game of the month, and this Sunday, Tony, you think Saturday would be enough? Sunday, it gets even better. I have my 89% high roller. I normally reserve those for my personal clients that move a minimum of 10 dimes a game. I have my No Limit. They're 1-0 this season. My Annihilator. They're 1-0 this season. My 66% touchdown play and my coveted Sunday night late bailout. If you didn't make enough money over the weekend, the Sunday night late game will get you there. I also have a 5-game discounted guaranteed package on Sunday in NFL. Guys, my packages, my multi-game packages, are literally a half a point away from being perfect this season. If you never follow me again, you must follow me this weekend in football right here at Pick Dogs. I'm going to tell you right now, I won't just get you paid, I'll get you rich.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico. He's doing it. He'll smoking those bookmakers over at Pick Dogs Premium. Pick up his football package. They're up right now at Pick Dogs. All right, continuing here on the show as we got a lot more picks coming. We're going to look at this Georgia Tech and Louisville game. Friday night action at the top of the hour. We've got the Georgia Tech, the home underdog at 5 total, sits here at 64 in this one. But, I was looking at the favorite here with Louisville. Cardinals look to rebound after back-to-back losses, but they face strong teams in Pitt and Miami. The Cardinals did move the football for 518 yards against the Hurricanes, and they moved it against that defense, 487 against Western Kentucky. But you know what? One thing I like about this Louisville team, they're good in the red zone. Defensively, they limit opponents to just 4.1 yards to carry on the ground. But, I believe it's definitely a step down in class for this Cardinals team to face Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's coming off a really bad loss at a down Syracuse team last week, 37-20. Defensively, the Yellow Jackets are giving up a lot of yardage through the air and on the ground. And their quarterback, Jeff Sims, 3 touchdowns, but 8 interceptions. The kicking game's been poor. 1 made field goal in 5 attempts. I can only look at Louisville here at minus the 5 points. All right, continuing here on the show. Joe, I know we have you on another discussion here with this Kansas State and TCU game, and we'll set it up for you here. We got a battle here in the Big 12 and between these two, and we'll see what we've got here. It looks like this one will be kicking off tomorrow. Kansas State and Iowa State. What do you see, Joe?
Well, Tony, so far this season, I made quite a bit of followers, quite a bit of money on some of these underdogs. I even told someone to take money line, and literally more times than not, most of the time, I've gotten everybody paid. I want to tell you and our viewers out there, I've been doing this for a long time, folks, and for the life of me, I just can't figure this line. This number is way off. Yes, Kansas State quarterback Thompson, check his status, folks. Guys, he's listed as questionable, but backup quarterback Howard, he looked like a veteran filling in last week, getting an outright win at home versus Texas Tech. Not only do the Wildcats get the bettors paid as an underdog, guys, they are an astounding 22-7 against the number, the last 29 in the roll of dog, but they've also been money in this series. They covered 4 of the last 5 against TCU. The Horned Frogs defense, let's face it, they're a far cry from the team that they once feared unit that they were over the last just a few seasons ago. They have been torched, guys, to be honest, by every opponent they've lined up against over the last year and change. This ain't going to be any different. Here's some against the spread numbers for you. Kansas State, 4-0 the last 4 in conference play, 8-3 the last 11 overall. They get the bettors paid like we talked about. TCU, crushing bettors in conference play, 7-15 the last 22 versus Big 12 opponents, and 8-22 the last 30 at home. No home field advantage for them to begin with when crowds are in the stands, let alone when it's empty. Guys, Kansas State plus the points puts paper in your pocket. I kind of like them on the money line, but take the 8.5, 9. I'll tell you right now, you will get paid because of K-State.
All right, that's our buddy Joe D'Amico here looking at that K-State and TCU game here, guys. We're on the drive-through. Got a lot more picks coming. We've got the game, the Lakers and, of course, the Miami Heat are playing in game number 5. That's a big one. And we've got a bunch of football coming up for you as well. But right now, let's bring in one of the pick dogs. You hear him on the morning show with Mitch and company. It's Brian Bittler. Brian, how you doing today?
Oh, it's always an awesome day when me and Joe D'Amico, the 2 college football killers, are on the drive-through show. I love it.
Oh, yeah, we definitely love it when we have Brian Bittler here. Of course, your thoughts here on some of this baseball action that we've seen, of course, leading about half an hour away from the Yankees and Rays.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this game. And as I mentioned on the morning show, I'm really liking the Yankees tonight. I know it's a little juicy here, but I just like the pitching matchup with Cole on the mound. I think he's got something to prove with that big contract, and I really think the Yankees dominate the Rays tonight, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, we'll see how that one rolls. All right, Brian, you're going to be coming in here with an SEC game. Pretty good looking matchup here between Tennessee and the Georgia Bulldogs. Volunteers definitely look like an improved team, and we've seen Georgia laying some points over double digits in this one against the Volunteers. Right now, I wanted to get your thoughts here on this one. Is this your show pick for today?
I'll tell you what, this is a play that just barely hit my premium section this week. And last week, I had Georgia as my best play. They absolutely crushed Auburn. But this week, I'm looking to go against Georgia. I think Tennessee has had this game circled since the schedule came out. Tennessee, up-and-coming SEC team. I really like this high number on the road. I think if you can get it anywhere above 10.5, you're pretty safe with Tennessee. They're 5-0, last 5 ATS as a dog. Series 6-2, last 8 when Georgia and Tennessee have faced off. The dog is cashed, and Georgia 2-6 ATS following an ATS win. So really, I like Tennessee to have a good showing, maybe even pull off the upset. But to me, Georgia, one of the top teams in the SEC. I can't see them losing, but I feel comfortable with the points with Tennessee.
Looking with the points here with Tennessee. Of course, any concern here with this Georgia defense, the way they've looked here this season?
They have looked out of their mind crazy. But, football is all about emotion, maybe not as much in college football as the NFL. But, man, when you get up like Georgia did against Auburn and absolutely they took it to them, it's hard to do that 2 weeks in a row. And I think Tennessee, this is a team that really needs to show the world that they're one of the tough teams in the SEC to contend with. So I think they show up and put on a good performance.
All right, Brian, we're seeing you at the top of the leaderboards here at Pig Dogs Premium. As we approach the bottom of the hour, what do you have going on right now at Pig Dogs Premium?
I tell you, 17-7 in college football, 71% winners. Tonight, my Friday night feast, you're going to want to get that $29.95. But tomorrow, my ACC Game of the Year. I haven't lost an ACC Game of the Year in over 5 years. Guys, do yourself a favor. Head on over to PickDogs.com, Premium Picks. Pick up my college football plays for today and tomorrow.
All right, so check him out. Brian Bitler right over at Pig Dogs Premium. He'll get you in the winner's circle. Of course, tomorrow's football action. Get on board. A lot of big action from college football. We'll keep Brian here for this segment. We got NBA with the Heat and the Lakers Game 5. Will they put another banner up in Staples Center for the LA team? We'll find out here. The Lakers 7.5-point favorite. Total sits here at 214.5. Brian, and of course, a lot of points here. We know Miami's been good off rest.
Boy, normally I like the dog, but I just feel like the teams are tired of this bubble. They want to go home. I think the Lakers are going to do everything they can to put the Heat away. I really see them jumping up by about 20 at halftime. And by the time the game's over, I see the Lakers easily cruising to about a 15-point win. Lakers take the title tonight and cover the spread.
All right, Brian Bitler says, look at the Lakers side. Joe, what's your thoughts on this Lakers Game 5? It's kind of with all this football and baseball playoffs, basketball takes a couple of days off and they restart again. It's back right in front of us.
Crazy stuff. Fun time of year for sports fans and sports bettors alike. I agree with Brian. I personally stood away from the game tonight only because I just really am excited about the college football weekend and the baseball game tonight, the Yankees-Rays Game 5. But I agree with Brian. Honestly, these guys want to go home. And honestly, as much as we like that, some of us have rode the Miami Heat through a lot of the postseason, they're outclassed in this one. They just not only did they get beaten in the first game, but they got beat up too. And that's not something that happens traditionally when you get a team from the West to play a team from the East. They got beat up. They got a couple of guys banged up, a couple of guys injured. But, unfortunately for a lot of people here in Vegas and out in L.A., the Lakers have not been covering. This line was 7 earlier today, so some Lakers money came in. It went up to 7.5. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up another half point because you're going to see late Laker money come in again because, that's what happens here in Vegas, and they'll move the line late. But clearly on paper and on the hardwood, Lakers are the better team. I mean, I'll be honest with you, whether you love him or love to hate him, LeBron, he wins. He wins. And you've got Davis there with him, and those Twin Towers are just tough. They're like two mighty oaks you can't chop down. And to be honest with you, I think Dana Lane spoke about it a few days ago. Their depth and their contributions from the bench, it's been a little bit, I don't want to say a mismatch, but it's been a mismatch. I think Miami really did a lot for the sport this year and for some of us who followed them in the postseason. But I look forward to them next season. But I'll be honest with you. And by tomorrow, I think Miami might be playing golf. I agree with Brian.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico here. Join us here on the drive-through. Brian, we got you. Thanks a lot for your segment. We got your pick, and of course, why you liked in this big Heat and the Lakers game. You like the Tennessee Vols, and of course, they're taking that big dog against Georgia. And you're looking here at the Lakers. It's time to go home. Time to wrap up this NBA season, right?
Time to go. Honestly, I'm probably going to watch the college football. I like college football a little bit more than NBA, so I'll barely be paying attention to this Heat Lakers game. I'll be watching the Georgia Tech and Louisville game.
There you go. All right, Brian, have a great weekend, and we'll talk with you. Yeah, you're right, Brian. You're right back on Monday. We'll talk to you then.
See you, gentlemen, later.
All right, our buddy
Great weekend.
Brian Bailey here on the drive-through, guys. We still have some more picks coming up here. We got some SEC action. We got some college football, and of course, right now it's for Joe D. He's going to take a look here at this Kansas City Chiefs and Las Vegas Raider game. Big line here. We're seeing Chiefs double digits, about 11 and a half. Total sits in the 56, 55 and a half. Joe, how do you see this one?
Tony, the Raiders are our hometown team here in Vegas, but I'm always loyal to my pocketbook, to my wallet, and to my money. There's going to be some naysayers out there talking about how this matchup is a storied rivalry with two teams that dislike one another. Therefore, it's going to be a tight game. Well, the first part, guys, is true. It is a long-time rivalry. They really don't like each other at all, these two teams. But as far as the second part, guys, this game is going to get uglier than the Monday Night Football hit Lawrence Taylor put on Joe Theismann in '85 to end his career. Patrick Mahomes and the well-balanced Chiefs offense, guys, they're averaging over 29.3 a game. Guys, they are deserving of all the praise and all the accolades they get, but it will be their defense here that shines. They rank second in the NFL. They give up just 17.5 a game. They're going to go up against the Raiders offense. Let's face it, folks. The Raiders offense had problems with both the Patriots and the Bills the last 2 weeks. By the way, both of those games, losses and no covers. This is the game that will allow Kansas City to truly separate themselves from the rest of the AFC West. Here's a stat I had to double check. Derek Carr, not that he's got this great successful career, but he is 0-6 at Arrowhead in his career, and the Las Vegas defense, which ranks in the bottom third in every major category, guys, they got 4 sacks and 2 takeaways the entire season. If they can't get pressure on Mahomes, forget it. And a lot of better defenses than they have couldn't get pressure on Mahomes. They're not going to be able to slow down Patrick Mahomes and the magical Kansas City offense. Las Vegas 0-4 the last 4 at Kansas City. 2-7 the last 9 versus AFC opponents. 2-5 the last 7 overall. KC for the spreads that they're laying, guys. They're against the spread numbers are off the charts. 8-0-1 the last 9 at home. 21-8-1 the last 30 versus the AFC West, and 18-7-1 the last 26 overall. And there's a team that lays double digits a lot. Under 2 touchdowns here is the gift, folks. Take the Chiefs. Take your bookmakers' money. Sorry, my Vegas peeps. The Raiders are going to go down like the Titanic.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico saying take the Chiefs here to lay the number against the Raiders. Raiders defense bad again. He said, that's been the trend with Gruden. They can't fix it, right?
I didn't expect them to grow by leaps and bounds, but when the thing is if their offense can keep defenses on the field, it's less time than their defense has to spend lining up against other offenses. But you know what? They just don't have that type of offense. They're either 3 and out, or maybe they do score on a broken play. This is a team still in a rebuilding year. I know that we're here in Vegas. We want them to do well. We want them to succeed. We want them to win. I think things might get worse before they get better. I said before the season started, I'd be surprised if they got near a 500 record by the end of the season. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, it's ugly here in Vegas, and it's going to get uglier.
All right, Joe D'Amico join us here on the drive-through here on our Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place YouTube network, and of course all social media. Be sure to check Pick Dogs Premium. We got Joe D'Amico's NFL and college football plays up there right now, so pick them up. All right, now let's continue in our coverage here with the drive-through. We're going to go ahead and bring in Jeff Jeter, and of course, Jeff, we're going to start with football with Jeff, then we'll transition over to the NASCAR. Jeff, how you doing this afternoon, evening?
Oh, doing great. Very excited for the weekend coming up here, and with all the sports going on, and beautiful fall foliage starting to come into effect here in East Tennessee. So fall's in the air. Football season's full go, and man, I'm ready to roll, man.
You're absolutely ready to roll here. Of course, we see at Pig Dogs Premium had a really good start to the football season, and we're going to start with college football. We have Florida and Texas A&M. It's an early start, noon Eastern time. You can watch it over on ESPN. We've got Florida here favored in this one at 6 points on the road.
Yeah, and I'm definitely liking Florida. I mean, last week we just saw Texas A&M, get beat up by obviously a very good Alabama football team. I mean, they hung in there for obviously the first about quarter and a half, it seems like there, but Alabama just opened it wide open there in the second quarter, and it went on to win 52-21 24. But as the thing, I mean, the Aggies, they got a weak secondary. I mean, we just saw they got a freshman corner there, and Jalen Jones just got burned for 2 touchdowns last weekend, and so that's going to be probably a weak spot for them and keep up. Plus, the other thing is too, we saw Kellen Mond kind of in that Texas A&M. I don't know what they did against Vanderbilt. I didn't get to see much of the game. We kind of, didn't really pass the ball around a lot. I mean, and all that good stuff. But, it seems like they had obviously that struggle. We all know about that. But, then they come out against Alabama, and Mond goes, it has 318 yards passing. So it's like, what do you do there? It's kind of hard to look at it. But anyway, getting back to home, I mean, I just think that looking at Florida right now, I just think they're, at 6.5 points, 2 or 6 points in some shops. It's kind of moving around here this afternoon. But, I think Florida's got enough to go in here and take care of business. I mean, we look at Kyle Trask and to the Kyle Pitts connection here. Of the 10 touchdowns that Kyle Trask has thrown this year, 6 of them have gone to Kyle Pitts. And, this Florida offense, they're, right now, I know it's a small sample size of, 2 games or whatever, but they've gone 357 yards against South Carolina, and in their first game against Ole Miss. I know they've been kind of high-scoring games, but, hey, I still think Trask is, could be talking Heisman. You never know. So,
right.
But anyway, but I think Florida covers easily here. A&M, they're 3-6-1. ATS is home dogs, and so I think Florida's just got more talent. They're just more talented right now. So.
All right, Jeff Jeter says take Florida here, laying the points. Are you a little concerned about the Florida defense? A lot, people look at these numbers, these stats. They see the numbers they're giving up here. What's your concern there with Florida and the ability to defend?
And it might just be one of those. It might be one of those deals. We see this sometimes in the SEC play where, they're okay with, it's funny because you'll see, like a Georgia Auburn. They'll be not like last week, but I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head. Look at these big defensive battles, and then like a week later, they may go out here and they're fine with going in the track meet, just depending upon the coach. You know what I'm saying? So, I think this week. I think Florida's defense, I'm not as concerned. I know they're on the road, but without the fans and that 12th man there, I think Florida's defense will be okay to do enough to cover that 6.5 to not let it get out of hand on them there. So as far as Kellen Mond and the Aggies offense. So.
All right, that's Jeff Jeter saying go ahead and take Florida here, laying the 6. Before we get into NASCAR, we see you over at Pig Dogs Premium this weekend for football. What do you have going on at the site?
Yeah, I'll have. I usually like to do an early 3-pack and a late 2-pack, and of course I'll throw out a whole 5-pack for you tomorrow on the with college football, and I'll do a similar package, some similar options on Sunday as well. So be paying attention to that. We'll get those up soon for you, and of course, I'll have a few plays over on the NASCAR side of things as well this weekend.
All right, so check out Jeff Jeter over at Pig Dogs Premium for his football and his NASCAR selections. Now transitioning over to NASCAR, Jeff, boy, what a finish. We always say this about Talladega. What a finish, what a wild race. It always seems that way. It took forever to finish these races, about an hour. They had to restart overtime a few times, but I like Denny Hamlin's strategy. Just sit back, let these guys knock each other out, and we'll just kind of come in and win at the end, and that's pretty much what happened there. Of course, Bubba Wallace, a little tough luck there at the end of the race.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace a little bit. Hey, you know what? Denny Hamlin crossed over the yellow line, which is basically an out of bounds point. But anyway, we could talk about that all day. But what really got me though was it just bad luck for Brendan Gaughan in the number 62 car, sponsored by South Point, casino out there. The Gaughans run it and all that good stuff. And it was his last Cup race. He was same strategy as Denny Hamlin. He was going to just laying back, probably going to get a top 10, but there was that big wreck going into turn 1. Kyle Busch just ended up running into him. It was just a bad deal. And at a top 10 finish, we are going to get like plus 430 on our money. And unfortunately, we didn't get that. That's the way it goes at Talladega. But we move on to the Roval, and one race left here in the before the cutoff.
Yeah, it really is. It's getting really close to it here. We're looking at Charlotte. It's almost a little more than 2 miles, 17 turns, a little tricky race here. What type of drivers do you look for here in this hybrid track?
Yeah, and again, with the Roval, we've only got a 2-race sample size on it, but we go back and look at who's done well at road courses. Obviously, Chase Elliott is a humongous favorite this weekend heading into the Cup race, and good chance he's probably going to win. He won the Daytona road course race of the inaugural road course race at Daytona back in August of this year, and we've seen Chase win a couple races up at Watkins Glen in New York, and on and on and on. So, definitely looking towards Chase Elliott, but kind of looking down towards the playoffs. You got to keep in mind we've got guys that the cutoff right now is got Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola down there and below 9th through 12th. And, they're cutting down to the round of 8 this weekend. Plus, not only that, but you've got, Martin Truex Jr., you've got Alex Bowman and Joey Logano sitting right there, kind of in that bubble range, too, where they could fall out with any sort of issues. So, this weekend, big weekend at Charlotte, a lot to digest here, if you will, to kind of figure out how we're going to go to the round of 8 next week in Kansas. And also the Xfinity Series tomorrow, same deal. We're going to be cutting down to the round of 8 after tomorrow in the Xfinity race. So,
all right, that's Jeff Jeter. You can check him out over at Pig Dogs Premium for his NASCAR picks. And, of course, you've got 2 appearances tomorrow morning, so you guys want to check in at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time with Mitch and Company. You've got 2 segments set up. You'll be taking a look at the Xfinity race and then the NASCAR Cup race, right?
Yeah, we'll take a look at the NASCAR Xfinity race there tomorrow morning, and then on Sunday we'll take a look at the NASCAR Cup Series race. They're both at the Roval this weekend, and like I said, right in the middle of playoffs, cut line happening, going down to a round of 8 next week at Kansas. So, unfortunately, no trucks this weekend, but hey, it is what it is. We'll get it on. We'll get it, man. So, just looking forward to it, and appreciate you guys having me.
All right, Jeff, have a great night, and we'll be listening and watching you over the weekend on Mitch's show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time to get those NASCAR picks.
All right, good luck, everybody, tonight. We'll see you first thing in the morning.
All right, our buddy Jeff Jeter here on the drive-through. Always good. Of course, NASCAR was recently in Vegas, Joe.
Absolutely. We got a huge NASCAR following that lives here and that travels here several times a year for the events here. It is a huge racing city, and we spoke about this before the show with Jeff. Growing up in New York, I was not a big racing fan. Moved out to Vegas, got some friends that are professional racers in NASCAR. They invited me down to a race. They invited me down for a couple of years. I never went, Tony. First time there, you can never not tell me again how great it is. It is one of the most wonderful events, and I follow Jeff. He's made me money a few times. I don't know a lot about racing as far as the betting angle, but I follow Jeff, and he's always right on the money. So I advise our listeners and our viewers out there to follow him too. But I will tell you, a lot of action. You can make money. It doesn't need to be a ball, to make money with. It could be on a track with those tires. Follow Jeff, folks. He'll make you money.
Absolutely. Here, guys, on the drive, there's still a lot more picks coming up. And, of course, now it's time for our soccer picks. And let's go ahead and welcome Goran Kuchar to the show. Goran, how you doing today? Of course, big weekend of action for as we get into international play now.
Hey, guys. Yeah, we had the Euro Cup qualification playoffs happening the other day, and we have the Nations League going on now. So a lot of international soccer going on.
Absolutely, a lot of international play, but I'd like to get a little Premier League review here. We look at Everton sitting atop the table right now, 12 points, wins in all 4 games, plus 7 goal differential. They double up on Brighton last week.
Yeah, Tottenham is playing really well, and their latest signing, James Rodriguez, he's making a huge impact on that team. And, of course, they are being led by the coach, by the Italian expert, Carlo Ancelotti, who won the Champions League with 3 different teams, and he's doing an excellent job with that team.
Absolutely, and of course, one of the games we talked about last week, it was Aston Villa pounding Liverpool 7-2. Boy, that was an ugly game. We've seen a lot of pinball-like shots. I saw even the coach of Liverpool was just laughing because balls were going off his defender, and they put up 7 on Liverpool last week.
That was just a crazy game, man. The first goal came from the goalkeeper's mistake, and everything just went downhill from that point. It was crazy, like, but yeah, it was a pinball, like you said. Ball was just bouncing around, and everything out of Aston Villa shot went to the goal. So it was crazy game.
Yeah, and something not too crazy. It's a Manchester United. I saw some problems with that team last week when they needed injury time to tie Brighton, or they were giving up a lot of goal opportunities. The problem with Brighton is they just can't finish. But they faced a team in Tottenham who can finish, and it was 6-1. Man U goes down.
Yeah, I was watching that game, and I gotta be honest. When they got that red card, I'm not saying they didn't deserve it because they absolutely did, but so did the Tottenham's player, and I think it would have been a different game if both of them got a red card. But like this, I don't know what's happening with United, and there was even rumors that they're looking for the new coach right now, and that might actually be a good idea.
Oh boy, that maybe it's a good idea because they did not look good in the first two games. I saw that Brighton game, the entire game, and I told you last week how I was not impressed with that team. There was something wrong, and it came up again. Just you cannot give up all those goal opportunities. All right, Gordon, we're going to be looking here at the UEFA Nation League game as we got action tomorrow between Spain and Switzerland, and you got to play on this one.
Yeah, Spain was playing a friendly match the other day against Portugal, and they were struggling a lot in the offensive end. But Spain is kind of the team that always tries to get to the goal line with the ball and then take a shot, but it's not always working, especially against the stronger teams, right? And the Switzerland is not one of those teams. They lost to Croatia the other day in the friendly game, and they did not look comfortable on the defensive end. And I'm gonna take Spain and over here for the plus 105, and I think it's an easy money.
That's right. Okay, so the play here, and you look at your books here, you got to take Spain and Switzerland over 2.5, and Spain to win. Both of those have to come in. In some books, it's a one bet where you can bet on both. So this is how Goran looks at it here in this UEFA Nations League game: Spain and Switzerland over 2.5, and of course you got a couple of that in with Spain to win the game. All right, Goran, another game I want to take a look at. This is probably the highlight of the weekend: is England and Belgium in Sunday UEFA Nation League.
Yeah, definitely. That's the best game of the week for me. And I've mentioned this many times before. Belgium is, in my opinion, one of the best teams in the world. They're playing the best soccer, fast, exciting. They're scoring a ton of goals. And even though they're missing their best player and captain, Eden Hazard, because he's still injured, they still have a lot of firepower going on that team. And I think we could see a lot of goals here.
All right, so Goran said look for the goals to be scored in this contest between England and Belgium in the Nations League UEFA as the Premier League takes a week off for international play. All right, Goran, I'd like to let before we get to the games tonight, why don't you let everybody know what you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium as we hit the top of the hour.
Yeah, I put on a package for tomorrow. It's a nice triple package for a nice plus money and a lot of free picks on Sport Chat Place, of course.
All right,
as usual.
As usual, you can find a lot of his work over at Sports Chat Place. Okay, I want to get something out of you here, Goran, because we got games tonight. South American World Cup qualifying. Of course, we got Copa America next year, so they got to get these qualification games in early at 7:30 Eastern time. At bottom of the hour, we got Colombia and Venezuela going at it.
Yeah, the lineups just came out a few minutes ago, and I see Colombia starting with all their best players like James Rodriguez, Luis Muriel, and Zapata. All good strikers. They have strong defense with Thierry Mina and Sanchez from Tottenham, while Venezuela doesn't have their best players in starting. And I think we could take Colombia at -1.5 here for plus 105 money.
All right, we'll go on to the next one. 8:30 Eastern time. It's Brazil and Bolivia. This is World Cup qualifying in the South America CONMEBOL. How do you see it?
Brazil is coming as a huge favorite here, and they absolutely deserve to be because they have some of the best players there. But it's hard to find the line that you could make money. And one thing that caught my eye is the over 1.5 goals in the first half for -150 seems pretty likely, and I would take that.
Are there going to be fans? Obviously, with this COVID situation, this is usually these stadiums are usually rabid with fans. This World Cup qualifying, we know it's a big deal in Europe, but man, I'm telling you, in South America, it's life and death. It's blood and guts in those stadiums.
Yeah, Brazil is playing in Maracanã, which we know is one of the most iconic stadiums in the world, right? And it takes, I don't know, 100,000 people, and seeing it with only 10% of that, it's just stupid and funny, it's empty basically. But I don't know, we'll see how that work out, and hopefully the situation is gonna resolve fast, and hopefully we're gonna see more fans soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And how far are we into this World Cup qualifying? I know the South America. I mean, I know just by following that South America is probably one of the hardest regions. The way that's set up to get out of there to get in the World Cup. How far are we into it, and to any surprises this year?
Well, yesterday was played the first round, and there's no surprises yet, but we are getting the top 4 teams are going straight to the World Cup, while the 5th team is going to the playoffs, I think with the North and Central American team. And I don't think the European qualification has started yet. So I think that starts next year after the Euro Cup.
The Euro Cup, yeah, the Euro Cup. Of course, right now we got the Nations League. All right, Goran, boy, you really knocked it out of the park today. We gave you some action for tonight. We had 2 games from the South American qualifying. We got a UEFA Nation pick for Saturday, and of course, he gave us that England and Belgium for Sunday. Goran, as always, great having you on the show. Have a great weekend, and we'll be reading your write-ups and your picks over at Sports Chat Place. Let everybody know how many picks are up there, how many games you write up, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Euro soccer.
There are 2 games for tomorrow. I have Brazil on for today, and there's, I think, a few up for Sunday, and more coming for Sunday and next week as well, because we have the Nations League on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. And then for the weekend, we are going back to Bundesliga and EPL and stuff.
All right, that's our buddy Goran Kuchar. Goran, thanks for joining us today. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week with a lot of more soccer. Of course, Premier back in action next week.
Yeah, we are starting on Sunday. Actually, Saturday.
Saturday, okay. So we'll have a lot of soccer coverage. See, I'm filling this plate up, guys. Not just 1 or 2 picks. We're gonna get you some action out there. All right, Goran, have a great night. It
was a pleasure, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right. See, Goran's pretty sharp with those soccer plays there, Joe.
Oh my! I learned a lot from him. Just like Jeter with the NASCAR. I don't know a lot about soccer. And I'm learning a lot from Goran, and he's on fire. Oh, I mean, he just I check whatever he says later on that evening or the next day, because the time difference sometimes, and he's right on the money, Tony. It's amazing. It really is. I'm proud to be on the panel with him.
Yes, absolutely. He really knows his stuff, and of course, you got to keep. It's really interesting with soccer, Joe, because you really got to keep an eye on the schedule, because sometimes you have the Premier League going on, then you have all these little tournaments in between, and now you're dealing with the World Cup qualifiers.
I know it's. I'm going batty, just trying to keep up the Goran on the show. By the way, Tony, you really did give a whole buffet of games out tonight. You really did. You did a great job tonight organizing everybody. So I want to say thank you to you. I mean, we gave our viewers a ton of free winners and great content, and that goes to your praise. And I thank you, Tony.
Well, I thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. And thank you for joining us and contributing to the show. And, of course, to all the handicappers who helped make this show. Really, we've started this over a little more than a month now. And I appreciate all the contributions I'm getting from the Pig Dog handicappers. You guys were exposing the cappers to you. And you can see how well researched and how much work they put into their craft, Joe. It really comes out in these shows.
It really does. And I'll be honest, as someone who does this every day, you get a real feel and an understanding and appreciation for the other guys on this Pig Dog show, because I know what I put into it every day, and some of these guys are doing it a few more days a week than I do. And like Goran, he gave out a slew of games. I just gave out 3 today. I mean, some of the other guys chimed in about quite a few sports. Bittler chimed in about 2 or 3 sports. So I mean, they're really going over and above the Call of Duty here, and that just goes to show all of our viewers out there how much we give here at Pig Dogs, and how appreciative we are of our viewers and why they should continue to stay with us, Tony.
Absolutely. Of course, guys, I want to go ahead and give you my free pick for tomorrow. It's going to be coming from this from this game between Marshall and Western Kentucky. I'm going to go here under the total of 43 and a half in this one. I just believe Marshall can move the football, and we saw some improvement with that Western Kentucky's offense last week. So we're going to go over the total here. Marshall and Western Kentucky, 43 and a half in that game. All right, continuing here on the drive-through. It's time to go ahead and, Joe, and review the picks from the show, and we'll take a look at who's on what. And once I find out we get the right button, here we go. Let's take a look as we are going to look at these picks. All right, Joe Duffy started off the show. He said go ahead and take Virginia minus the 7 against NC State. Then Joe D'Amico, Clemson minus 14 and a hook against Miami. Brian Bittler came on and said take Tennessee at plus 12.5 against Georgia. And, of course, our man you see on the screen here, Jeff Jeter. He was on Florida minus the 6 against Texas A&M. Goran, he gave us on the show picks. It's a parlay. You got to play on both. Spain, Switzerland over 2.5 goals, and then Spain to win. In some books, you can play that as a one pick, where they have that as an option for one pick, having these two options come in. Yours truly, take Marshall, Western Kentucky over total of 43.5 points. All right, Joe. Other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
Well, you really tied my hands there, because that D'Amico, outside of being the best-looking guy in battle, he's really a good capper. To be honest with you, there's a couple I think that really stand out to me. I like your total on the Marshall Western Kentucky over. I think it's going to be a shootout. But I'll be honest. But to be honest with you, I think Florida was a game I almost put up myself. I did not, only because I have so many games that I really feel a little more strongly about. But I could see Florida laying under a touchdown at Texas A&M. The two Kyles, we talked about them a few days ago. They are really, they brought a lot of excitement back to the swamp, we should say. I mean, the most excitement they've seen down there since Tim Tebow was at the helm. So I'm going to go probably overall between you and Jeff Jeter. I like them both a lot. I might even parlay those two myself, Tony.
There you go. Since we got Jeff Jeter on, Jeff, other than your pick, which one do you like the best there?
I'll go with Joe taking Clemson to go ahead and knock down 14.5 there on Miami. I know Mitch is going to hate me in the morning for it, but hey, I think Mitch is laying the points too. But I mean, Clemson's just they're just on another level, and so being at home, I know there's not going to be probably a lot of fans there, but still, it's a home atmosphere, kind of like Joe Duffy was talking about earlier, and they'll be comfortable there, and I think it'll be probably a good game, but I think Clemson covers in the end.
All right, that was our buddy Jeff Jeter. Have a great weekend, Jeff Jeter.
Absolutely, guys.
All right, that was our buddy Jeff Jeter. All right, Joe, before we cut off the show for today, what's for dinner in Vegas? So where is it going to be? You're going to hit the Strip? What did you got going?
I've got a little bit more work to do this evening, but I will tell you we've got some beautiful I have a dear friend of mine, one of the few defensive MVPs in a Super Bowl ever. I'll leave that one up to you. He's a good friend of mine. He owns a cattle ranch down in Oklahoma. He sent me a few days ago some beautiful cuts of beef. So we're going to be putting some filet mignon on the grill very shortly. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, right now in Vegas, we've got high 80s, a nice breeze. I'm staying home tonight, because I have to get a few things done as far as the games, but we got some great filet mignon. But my wife and I were looking at possibly going down to Joe Stone Crab at Caesars this weekend, tomorrow night, and getting some lobster or some crab, some of the best seafood in the city and the entire world. So we're thinking about that. Caesars is like my home away from home, Tony. And as you know, the only place I feel the most comfortable outside of my own living room is a Las Vegas casino.
Absolutely, of course, that Joe's. I love that place, man. I love it. I mean, I would just travel to Vegas just to eat there, lunch and dinner. I've had lunch and dinner there, 2 trips. That place was so good. All right, Doug, we conclude our show for tonight. Remember, guys, next Monday we're back at it again at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, covering we'll have 2 games from Monday Night Football to cover and more. Actually, we'll have baseball because the NLCS, ALCS will begin, and so be ready for that, guys. And a whole week of football next week as well. Let's go ahead and bring in the Pick Dogs and give us a wave goodbye. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Good night, guys.
At 10:30 in the morning.